and implementation of policy and regulation aimed at attracting investments in the sector. The Vision 2030 also paves the way for our country to be a leader in education and training from primary to tertiary level. Against this backdrop, it has become prudent to equip the students with the best up-to-date tools, such as geographical information systems, remote sensing, mobile phone-based technologies, which should go hand in hand with solid training and teaching in geography, statistical analysis, and software development, amongst others. It is in this context that e-learning is being introduced in our learning institutions and is poised to become the primary form of instruction in the next few decades. In anticipation, it is upon us to develop and use the tools that will help our children learn and appreciate the contents. It is equally important to keep in mind that learning should be fun. Students should be able to perceive their country virtually by flying. I'm saying flying in quotes. Over their districts, learning about other parts of the country, and using computers in their day-to-day activities. Virtual Kenya is a great development that will expose educators and students to some of these elements. Given that the government has facilitated the laying of fiber optic cabling across the country and is now in the process of establishing digital villages in all the constituencies, the Virtual Kenya initiative could not have come at a better time. And it is my hope it will accelerate the uptake of e-learning as an important tool in our school curriculum. More importantly, Virtual Kenya is broad in terms and covers thematic areas such as environment, people, and biodiversity. As the data on this website gets updated and more players provide up-to-date data, it will be an important resource for many researchers and policymakers in the country. In fact, there is an ongoing initiative to provide new information on a number of data sets in Virtual Kenya. Therefore, I'd like to encourage more and more players to make their data available to Virtual Kenya. My ministry is willing to partner with the Ministry of Education to encourage e-learning schools to use Virtual Kenya for their geography classes. My personal feeling is that we need to move with speed to ensure that such tools, such as the one presented by Virtual Kenya, are incorporated in our school curriculum. Again, with the devolution of power to the counties, accountability and transparency is paramount, but most importantly, spatial planning and thereby development of our country will rely more and more on information on tools of visualization of this development. Furthermore, Virtual Kenya is designed to include several elements from web-based mapping, easy-to-use tools that can be used to examine the features of counties, such as roads, health facilities, amongst others. The website further accommodates the use of mobile telephone technology to update information and enable creation of an experts community. The launch of Virtual Kenya is therefore a very positive step towards this end, given its GIS and remote sensing features. I do understand that the data collected encompasses different scales from national to county and to constituency level. It is clear we still do not have sufficient data for all the counties and constituencies. My ministry will be keen to participate in this effort by making data available online and strengthening our collaboration with ILPRI to sustain this effort. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, the spirit of the new constitution dispensation lies in the pursuit of transparency in decision-making. Wananchi are required to play an important role in keeping their leaders accountable. To serve this purpose, Kenyans must be able to monitor plans and projects and be able to express their level of satisfaction regarding their implementation. This requires data making accessible and readily available. Virtual Kenya with its web-based spatial tools opens the door to apply information crowdsourcing tools to meet these transparency requirements. One such tool, such as Ushahidi, was used during the post-election crisis of 2008 to gather and map information regarding the number of incidences in a particular hotspot. As a member of parliament, I'm convinced that adoption of Virtual Kenya will afford my constituents an opportunity to explore through their constituency, through the web-guided tours, and through mobile telephones, and allow them to report on issues that could be affecting them. To us, he said, I can give an undertaking to make my data for Gatanga constituency very available on Virtual Kenya. We have our own website, which is www.gatanga.com, and we actually incorporated a GIS system 4 years ago. Allow me to conclude by reiterating that development of Virtual Kenya is a great start towards utilizing the capacity of ICT in decision-making and planning in the country. The challenge now is to set up institutions at both national and devolved levels, connect these institutions with the best analysts and newest tools to support decision-making. Let me hasten to add that at the ministry, in terms of all the information that Virtual Kenya will need, starting with the national census results of the year 2009, the poverty index that came out of that census, the household census of 2005 are actually available. We didn't need to wait for Section 35 of the new Constitution to give access to information. I am a very strong believer that information is very key to development. And we have a very open system in our ministry. And I think it's just as well that we were rated as the best ministry in the last couple of days. The challenge that arises is that the information is available. It's how to implement that information in terms of planning and in terms of development. A couple of years ago, I was in Singapore, and they had incorporated the Google Earth map with surroundings of Singapore, and they had placed their computers, their screens on every street, which meant you could actually Google the position you were going before you left your residence to know which road was not congested. That is how information helps, that you can start your planning before you actually leave your house. And this is what we are trying to achieve. So I would appeal to all of you, as we thank our innovators, as we thank promoters of a place like IHA, who have promoted innovation from our young Kenyans, as we thank them, let us give as much information as we can possibly give, because that information will help us. I've often argued about CDF, and I know it's a hot subject in Kenya, but it's not that most CDFs do not work. It is that most of my colleagues do not release information of what they are doing. And therefore, they are told that they are not doing anything because they are not giving information. But if they display information that could hold the test of accountability and transparency, and be accountable to the people who elected them, they would not have issues. So the aspect of not disseminating information to their constituents has actually brought another challenge that CDF is actually not working. So the issue of access to information is very key, and I think I've said this before and I'll say it here. I've been to very many countries in the world. At the last count, 103 countries. And I concluded a long time ago that even if I was not a Kenyan, I would still vote Kenya to be the best country in the world. Because if you take that map, you look at the map of Kenya, and we forget about Nairobi because we've concentrated at 13% of the entire population in Nairobi, you then see the beauty of Kenya. And to tell you how the disparities are, I'll just give you one example. As I said, I know you are tired, I won't keep you long. The shoreline of Kenya on Lake Victoria is about 150 kilometers. The shoreline that we have of the Indian Ocean is about 350 kilometers, from Vanga to Lamu to Ismail. That's a total of 500 kilometers. And we keep each other going for holidays in those two spots. The shoreline of Lake Turkana, where nobody goes, is 800 kilometers. We've never taken advantage. We've never even thought about it. The biggest point of generation of power is going to come from the shores of Lake Turkana at Loyangalani, and we provide to the national grid 350 megawatts, which will be the single biggest power project in Kenya. But we haven't thought about Lake Turkana. That tells you how much potential we have and how much opportunities we lose on a daily basis. So let us take the challenges today and say we don't want to lose any more opportunities. Let us open up ourselves. We can definitely make Kenya better than it is. And the Scouts have a very small motto that says, if you go to a campsite, leave it better than you found it. So let's leave Kenya better than we found it. Thank you.